Welcome to Beyond the Block, Bybit professional podcast series. I'm Cyrus. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about developments in the crypto space, crypto ETFs in Asia. While the West celebrates landmark approvals, Asia's journey seems to tell a different story. We'll unpack the regulatory maze, market dynamics, and unique challenges that define the Asian crypto ETF landscape, and discuss how this will impact the broader crypto ecosystem. So whether you're institutional investors eyeing new opportunities or a crypto enthusiast trying to make sense of this complex ecosystem, this episode will navigate you through the currents of change shaping Asia's crypto ETF future. Joining us today, we have Thomas Chu, Head of Digital Assets at China AMC Hong Kong. Thomas, good to have you on the show. Can you walk us through a bit like the current landscape? What's the current state of crypto ETFs here in the city?
Yeah, so after US listed Bitcoin spot ETF on January 10th, we decided to issue Bitcoin and the Ethereum spot ETFs. And we listed those to April 30th this year. So it's about 6 months. I think we have seen continued interest and growing interest for our Asia product. And there are some unique aspects about our ETF. Number one, we offer in-kind subscription and redemption, which is different from the US spot ETF. They are cash only, US dollar only. And second is we provide different currencies. We have US dollar, Hong Kong dollar, and we're the only one offer the RMB counter. I think a lot of interest coming from ultra high net worth, the family office space. I'm currently the head of a family office at China AMC as well. So many of those family offices are allocating to the digital assets. I think majority sits with Bitcoin. And for Bitcoin ETF, we have been having the great momentum for large trading days. For example, in August, September, we had a few days that Bitcoin dropped a lot, and we saw a lot of interest from the market to trade the Bitcoin. So on the single day, we had the highest trading volume was over 240 million Hong Kong dollars. On that same day, the largest ETFs, the stock ETFs, actually traded about over 100 million Hong Kong dollars. So we've seen the crypto ETFs in some way during the large volatile days has great potential that people use that instrument to trade. So that's for the Bitcoin. And for Ethereum, we issued at the same time on April 30th. US issued a bit later. Ethereum, there's a fundamental thing that I think a lot of people hesitate to buy or use in-kind subscription. One is the staking mechanism that's not currently included in our ETF issuance. And second, I think a lot of challenges, Ethereum itself. We've seen Vitalik has been pretty vocal recently, attending pretty much all the events, sharing updates on the Ethereum, and I'm going to Thailand for the DevCon. Hopefully there's some updates there. But overall, I think Bitcoin as a asset that people try to allocate, I think it's becoming more and more popular.
Right. So you did mention like some of your clients from ultra high net worth institution, they show strong interest on some of those crypto ETFs. So how about retails? Are there any significant interest from retail investors?
Yeah, so if we look at it, our retail investors usually buy through our related brokers. We've done many roadshows in the last 6 months. I personally attended probably 40 of them. I think the interest from the retail investors are very, very strong. And they also are providing the liquidities. For example, they trade a lot, right? Instead of institutional investors tend to hold that for a longer period of time. But institutional investors may not react promptly to buy the dip. So during the large volume days, when the tokens drop, we saw a lot of retail inflows for our Bitcoin, Ethereum. And for the other type of chains from, for example, Arbitrum, we spoke about ETF as well. I think everyone's interested. So even for a kind of layer 1, layer 2 foundations, they're curious about how we grow the ETF, what's the mass adoption, who are buying. So I think it's a positive growing momentum in Hong Kong.
Right. So, like, honestly, I think you guys are, moving like quite forward in terms of like product offerings. I think in general in Hong Kong, digital asset, crypto ETFs, these are some of the, latest, most discussed topics among, institutions and professionals. But what about, other regions and countries, like in Asia? I think, are they catching up fast, or what's the current status of their, in terms of like digital asset development?
Yeah, I think the digital asset development comes with the regulation, right? Regulation first. So Hong Kong has probably most comprehensive virtual asset regulation. If you look at the US, there's no virtual asset platform license. There's no, for example, stablecoin sandbox, right? So what Hong Kong is building right now is a long-term adoption and kind of infrastructure for this new asset. So providing the banks, issuers, different type of sandbox access to understand the market, to understand the technologies. I think that's very, very important. But so you have to understand the technology, understand how they custodize the asset in order to have sizable positions, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I totally agree with you. Like, when we talk about digital asset, when we talk about, like, before we talk about any product offerings, I think regulation has to come first. So I'd like to talk about as you just said, Hong Kong right now has a relatively complete digital asset development framework here. So what's the role of these crypto ETFs plays in this broader framework? Is that going to be like a tool, a door for more investor come into joining this bandwagon, or what's the role of that?
Yeah. So I think the role that there are many roles different parties play. So we're the issuer. There is master custodian. There's a sub-custodian. The master custodian usually the fund's custodian house. For example, Bank of China in Prudential Trust, right? So that is a BOCPT, that is a master custodian. And we also work with participating dealers. For example, Following, that's our participating dealer. They facilitate the primary market in-kind subscription for the Bitcoin and Ethereum. And obviously, there are insurance companies involved because Hong Kong requires 50% of the issued ETF has to be custodized. So both exchanges that's currently involved in the ETF business purchase the insurance in order to cover any potential losses. So I think this is a big operation. So it requires every single party to participate and provide the best out of their firm. And I think we did that very successfully. I think the recent growth concerns, I think, comes from two parts. One is whether we can have this product to be distributed in more banks, because typically Hong Kong's style, the retail style is through the banks. And second, that we'll be working with different offshore entities, and we can set up the offshore, we can register it offshore. For example, we did that in Singapore. And there's some other countries talking to us right now, Korea, UAE, talking about potentially bring the ETF to their place. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of players in the ecosystem, and you have the technology provider, you have the custody provider. I think it's a great industry for everyone to collaborate.
Right. So now that we learn about the current state of crypto ETFs here in Hong Kong, and we learned from Thomas that Hong Kong has a relatively complete regulatory framework that allows different participants to launch different kind of products. So let's talk about some of the challenges that we are facing. So when we compare it to other major financial markets, for example, in the US, there's also a lot of crypto-related ETFs in the US. So, how do you guys differentiate yourself from other like competitors, outside the regions? As you know, like liquidity right now is pretty much global, and also for retail, customers. They also have very easy access to, other markets as well. So, how do you retain those people to trade here in Hong Kong instead of outside elsewhere?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they have to come with interest first, right?
Yeah.
So they need to have some request and they have the interest. And then depends on their KYC, KYB, AML, their jurisdiction. Well, our participating dealers, those are the typical the brokers, they will onboard them and then they can go through the brokers and then to our sub-custody. For our case is OSL, that we can work together on that.
Right. Yeah. So, and some people obviously they compare it to, trade volume of those ETFs in Hong Kong and elsewhere, and obviously, like from in some cases or in some days, the trade volume here in Hong Kong may not be the highest, but on average, are you guys seeing we are catching up or what?
This is a good question. So I want to hear your kind of perspective.
Well, honestly, like for me, I personally would think that, here, like crypto ETFs in Hong Kong is still relatively new. I think perhaps maybe we still need to do a lot more, educations, investor education, so that they, people learn more about what crypto really is. I guess like for some of the people here and perhaps in broader Asia as well, like when they talk about crypto, when they talk about Bitcoin, they just think of it as something that is not real.
Yeah, what about your friends, family?
Yeah, honestly, like it's pretty like for my, like, of course I have a lot of friends in crypto and they're pretty open to invest into like different crypto assets, whether it's via ETFs or via other platforms. But honestly, like in my opinion, I think crypto ETF is a great way for traditional people or people from traditional finance background to really diversify their portfolio, right? Because I'm perhaps some of these people, their portfolio, they perhaps have already have a lot of equity stocks, or perhaps some other funds, whatever, and having like including some of these ETFs in their portfolio, I think that is the easiest and the fastest way to allow them to have the crypto exposure, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I asked you, because I think for native people, they open accounts with the exchanges. And for TradFi people, they know Bitcoin can go up a lot. They knew that from last 12 months, right? That tells them it can go up. So the easiest way is to not move the money around and send to the exchanges, open an account, and then buy it. I think the easiest thing is through their broker account. And in Hong Kong, broker is one channel of distribution, and another channel of distribution is commercial banks. So we're currently onboarded with two. One is Standard Chartered's MOX. Another one is China Merchant Bank Wing Loan. So I think we're gonna work with more banks because it's Hong Kong Stock Exchange traded product. So naturally, it shouldn't be that hard to distribute and to list. But different banks, they have the different internal kind of understanding of this asset. So I think it will take a little bit of time. But by next year, if we speak again around this time, I'm sure we have more banks distribution. And I think that will have more retail investors comfortable and easier access to trade for the ETF product.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we cover a bit about the challenge that like all these crypto ETFs are facing here in Asia and perhaps in Hong Kong. So let's go through a bit about the opportunities, right? So you did mention that you guys have been thinking about having different kind of underlying assets, tracking different crypto assets. Using ETFs. So moving forward, what we can expect, in terms of crypto ETF product offerings in the future. You also did mention about Ethereum staking, right?
Yeah, so we're looking at it. I think that's kind of people holding Ethereum. They want to have additional 2-3% yield, and I think that's the request from some of the investors. So we're looking at that right now.
Yeah. How about some other kind of index investments? So, for example, maybe like an index that that tracks the top 20 market cap, crypto, and then you make it with an ETF as a product. Is that something possible for you guys?
Well, we're focusing on Bitcoin, Ethereum now, and our goal is to grow this first, right? If you can't grow Bitcoin, how can you grow the others, right? Bitcoin still consists the majority. Bitcoin and Ethereum together consists majority of the crypto market.
Right. Yeah. So for sure. And I know you guys have put a lot of efforts, to innovate in terms of product offering, and try to be standing out the crowd. But again, what do all these innovation in crypto ETFs means for for institutions, for your ultra high net worth clients, even for retailers, like for what exactly that will means for them, like in the future?
Yeah, I think it gives them the opportunity to easily to trade without worry about losing their wallet, passcode, and not worry about moving the funds around the banks and brokers. So I think the easy of access, much more secured, because exchanges are required to buy insurance to cover at least 50% of their custodialized assets in Hong Kong, which is the highest protection in the world. So I think for people to open a broker account to trading Hong Kong has enjoyed probably the most comprehensive regulatory system.
Right. So let's go back a bit to regulations. As you said, regulations super important. In the whole crypto ETFs play. So how do you see the current regulatory landscape, here in Hong Kong, and moving forward, what can you expect from the regulators?
Yeah, I think they are doing a great job, given how new this product is and how early we are in terms of some of the innovations. For example, the United States didn't have the in-kind subscription and redemption, and we have that functions, and we offer different currencies. I think those are great innovations. I think there will be hopefully more different type of service provider license to cover the whole ecosystem. For example, the custody license, the virtual asset, OTC license, etc. So I'm very confident and very optimistic about Hong Kong building the global hub for the Web3 or crypto investment, given we understand the product and how we regulate the product.
Right. So before we wrap up the discussion, so what do you exactly expect the digital asset landscape in Asia will look like in 2 years?
Yeah, I think everybody is next week, right? The election, but that those things can change. Well, if it didn't go with Web3 world's favorite direction, then I think more opportunities will be in Asia. And if we look at all the different jurisdictions in Asia, Hong Kong is still the most dynamic and exciting market. And we want to bring more different developers and products to Hong Kong. So I was at SmartCon, met a lot of people, different chains, different protocols, different infrastructure. I think they are all very excited, and I think it's the first time I see, same room with people wearing suits and people wearing shirts, right, t-shirts. So I think it's a very good mix of the financial institutions, banks, investment managers to learn more with global blockchain experts. I think we should bring more to Hong Kong, and then we should use that knowledge to improve this ecosystem.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Thomas, for your sharing. Hopefully, next time we talk again, maybe the landscape will change, drastically and improved, a lot from here. So yeah, thanks for your time and welcome to our podcast. And you are watching Beyond the Block. This is Bybit Professional Podcast Series, and I'll see you next time.